financial programs we design with our business partners focus on creating a safety net for devoted employees. We believe secure and happy employees are essential to a successful business.
The vision of Frontier Software is to supply organizations throughout the world with an integrated, secure, common human resource database. This can be accessed anywhere, anytime, by any device using the latest web technology.
Founded on commitment, built on quality, unrivaled in delivery. Frontier Software is a world leader in integrated human resource solutions. For over 3 decades, we've been expanding into new territories, investing in fresh talent, and developing the technology to deliver world-class HR and payroll management software to over 1,600 organizations across the globe, both large and small. Our leading-edge products are the result of our forward-thinking commitment to excellence and incorporate a comprehensive range of software modules. We annually invest over 20% of our profits into research and development, ensuring that new products are available year on year, so you get the best possible solution for the ever-changing needs of your company. Our products are easy to implement and simple to use, allowing customers the most straightforward method to perform even the most complex tasks. Customers can choose to license our software or utilize a SaaS subscription, including a fully managed payroll outsourcing service. Our software is browser-based, eliminating the need for any additional desktop applications, and comes in a range of languages. Software updates can be made without resorting to technical support using our innovative import management module. Content is fully customizable by you without the need for an IT expert. Our proven security systems offer peace of mind by inhibiting unauthorized access to sensitive information. Customer service is our #1 priority. Our support teams host regular focus groups, allowing you to network with other users and get the most out of your product. Frontier Software is the global brand which sets the standard in human resource management software solutions. Our products continue to develop. Our vision constantly evolves, and our ongoing commitment to the needs of our partners is as strong today as it's ever been. Join us, and together we can map out a new frontier.
We at Frontier Software look forward to working with your organization and your dedicated professionals. After all, your success is our success.
Hi, I'm Mel, and I am choosy. My ultimate skin goal is gusto kong mag-even out ang skin tone ko.
Hi, my name is Gian Eduarda. My skin goals are to become whiter, fairer, healthier, and younger.
It really shows na yung skin ko ngayon mas moisturized, mas glowing, and mas healthy.
Thanks to Glutasy, I got my skin tone back. Thank you so much, Glutasy.
focus, master the secret ingredient to break your personal records and be a world class in what you do. Master the secret ingredient to break your personal records ours and be a world class in what you do. Master the secret ingredient to break your personal records ours and be a world class in what you do. Master the secret ingredient to break your personal records ours and be a world class in what you do. Master the secret ingredient to break your ingredient to break your personal records ours and be a world class in what you do. Master the secret ingredient to break your personal records ours and be a world class in what you do. Master the secret ingredient to break your personal records ours and be a world class in what you do. In what you do. Master the
He has delivered his speeches and conducted workshops in 23 countries across 5 continents. His achievements and work has been featured in international media such as Discovery Channel, South China Morning Post, Channel News Asia, and many others. Everyone, let us all hear from Mr. Nishant Kasibhatla. Hi,
Hey,
Mr.
thanks.
Nishant.
Thanks, Coach Suzit, for that introduction. So let me start my presentation. I'll share my screen, and you should be able to see my screen, everyone. All right. So can you see the
All
screen,
right.
Coach
Yes,
Suzit?
yes, we
All
can
right,
see
great,
it.
awesome.
And
So
take it away,
let's-
Mr. Nishant.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So thank you very much for all of you for showing up live on this free webinar. And thank you, Ariva, and everyone behind the scenes for making this possible. Today, I'm going to talk about how you can have extraordinary focus so you can achieve more in your life, break your personal records, and be world-class in what you do in your life. Now, you might have heard this thing that we are living in the age of information. It is true that we're living in the age of information, but also I believe that we are actually living in the age of distractions. And why do I say that? It's because we have now research, and this is really scary statistics, because now we know that based on research that people on an average switch activities every 3 minutes, and they get some kind of distraction or interruption every 11 minutes. And when they experience a distraction or interruption, many times, in fact, 40% of the times, they don't even continue the task that they were doing beforehand. They will totally venture into something else. Now, here's a question for you. Don't you think, irrespective of how small or big the distractions and interruptions are, if you have a lot of these in today's world, do you think it will negatively impact your focus, your productivity, and your performance? And I'm sure you'll agree with me on that. And that is the reason why I say that extraordinary focus is probably one of the secret ingredients that you need to have, because anyone who achieved extraordinary success in their life, I believe that they have extraordinary focus as well. So in today's presentation, I'm going to show you how you can leverage the power of the extraordinary focus so you can break your personal records, maintain momentum towards your goals, and be world-class in what you do. And specifically, I'll be talking about 3 things today. Again, when it comes to improving your focus, achieving world-class focus and extraordinary focus, there are a lot of things that you could do, but we have a short presentation today, and I want to make the most for you as far as your time is concerned. So I'm going to give you the most important ones that you can not only benefit from, but boom, start implementing starting from today, right after this session is over. So number 1, today I'm going to talk about the power of single tasking. And then I'm going to talk about the power of no, which is a really, really important thing if you want to really have a great focus. And finally, we're going to talk about the power of what I call as the mental fuel. Now, how did I learn all these things? Just a bit of background here. I initially started off improving my memory. I used to have a lousy memory. I was always looking for ways and means of how I can improve my memory. With practice, with focus, with dedication, with commitment, with a ton of practice, I actually done some spectacular things compared to what I was capable of doing many years ago. And these are some of my records. I memorized a number consisting of 1,944 digits. That number looks like this. It's a huge number. When someone gives me that number, I'll look at that and I'll be able to recall that number in the forward-backward sequences. And I hold a record for memorizing a deck of playing cards in the exact sequence in less than 2 minutes and 7 decks of playing cards in less than an hour. And also, I became a grandmaster of memory. I also broke a Guinness record in memory in 2011 And the reason why I'm sharing that is because all of these things require extraordinary focus. Because if you want to memorize numbers, cards, colors, or anything for that matter, you need to have focus. And what I realized is focus is not only important for me to break my records in the world of memory, but also focus is important for anyone. Now, I know that people here, I mean, for those of you, tuning in from different parts of the world, I know that 100% that you are not interested in breaking a Guinness record. I know that you're not interested in making a record for memorizing numbers, but one thing I know for sure, I'm sure that you're interested in breaking your personal records. And if you want to break your personal records, if you want to maintain your momentum, if you want to keep growing, you need to have focus, just like the way I had focus. So that is a little bit of background here. And let's first talk about the very first component, and that is single tasking. Now, you might have heard this a lot, and today let me break it down for you, and let me also show you how you can incorporate the power of single tasking. So my suggestion for you today is just this. Now, is my camera okay, Coach Susan? Able to see me clear? Just want to make sure, is everything okay?
It's perfect, Nishant. The slides are here and you're clear as well, yes.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, thank you so much. So my suggestion is do single tasking. You heard that before, but before I tell you how to do that, let me just take you back to ancient India. Now, in ancient India, there used to be a very famous archer by the name of Arjuna. And Arjuna was very famous for his outstanding ability to shoot at the target with his bow and arrow 100% of the time, every time. And people were thinking, I mean, holy cow, how can Arjuna have this level of insane levels of focus? So one day there was a competition of archery. A lot of people gathered, and there were 3 contestants. The first contestant comes in, he's about to shoot, and the objective of that competition was there was a wooden bird that was kept on a faraway tree branch, and any person, not to hit the bird, but they have to hit the bird's eye, the wooden bird's eye. If you can hit the wooden bird's eye with your bow and arrow, boom, you win the competition. Contestant number 1 comes in, takes the aim, and about to shoot, the teacher asks to the first contestant, hey, what do you see? What do you see in front of you? The first contestant says, teacher, I see the bird. And of course, the teacher says, okay, what else do you see? And the first contestant says, teacher, I see the bird, I see the clouds, and I see the sun. And says, okay, go ahead, shoot. And he shoots, and unfortunately, it doesn't hit the bird's eye. Second contestant, same question, what do you see? This time, slightly different answer. He replies, teacher, I see the bird, I see the bird's legs, and I see the branch on which the bird is sitting. I said, okay, great. Shoot. He shoots, and it just misses. It hits the bird, but doesn't hit the eye of the bird. Third contestant, of course, the famous Arjuna. He comes in, he takes his position, about to aim. Same question, Arjuna, what do you see? This time, Arjuna had a totally different answer. He looked at the bird's eye, and all he said was, teacher, I see blackness. What? When teacher was saying, what do you mean by blackness? Don't you see the bird? Don't you see the cloud? Don't you see the branch? Don't you see the legs? Don't you see the sun? Arjuna says, teacher, all I can see is the blackness of the bird's eye. Teacher says, go ahead, shoot. And he shot. And you know what happened? He hit the bird's eye. Now, why is this story relevant? Because this, as per the legends, this happened, I don't know, thousands or maybe, I don't know, millions of years, maybe not millions, definitely thousands of years ago. But the message of Arjuna is simply this: single tasking. If you have single tasking, you will have infinite powers to what you can do in your life. Now, the easy way to explain single tasking is to explain what is multitasking, because single tasking is exactly the opposite of I'm sorry. Is exactly the opposite of multitasking. Now, what is multitasking? Multitasking is, people are doing a project a task A, they switch the task and do project B, they switch the task again, come back to project A, and they keep on switching, and that is what we think is multitasking. But here's the interesting thing. We now have proof, we now have research that the human brain is simply not designed to do multitasking. You really can't do 3 things at one time. Your brain can't handle that. In I would say in most cases. So when people say they're multitasking, what they're really doing is what is called as switch tasking. You focus on one thing, switch, focus on another thing, switch, come back, do. If that's what switch tasking is. And every time you switch a task, what happens is there's something which is called as a switching cost. And the cost is you have to pay a price for that. And the price is low quality work, low quality of productivity, and then the work keeping on dragging. And you don't want that to happen. So if that is what is multitasking, then what is single tasking? It's just like the Arjuna. Arjuna focused only on one thing, the bird's eye, and forgot everything else. Not forget, he didn't even look at everything else. Not even the legs of the bird, not even the branch, not even the trees and the clouds and the sun, nothing. Focus on the bird's eye. And how can you apply in your life? How can you apply in your work? How can you apply in your family? When you're working on a task, when you're working on a project, you should be focusing only on one thing and leave out everything. Distractions, interruptions, the urges, the temptations, looking at social media, checking emails, doing other tasks. You don't want to do that. Now, I hope you realize the importance of single tasking. Now, the question is, how do you do it? Well, I have a formula for you. And if you use this formula, it's going to be really easy for you. Now, this is the formula that I have for you. It's called 50-1-0. If you want to practice single tasking, you do the 50-1-0. The problem with single tasking is this. You can't wish, okay, today I'm doing my focus time and let me do single tasking. You got to have a strategy. You got to have a formula. You got to have a steps. And these are the steps. 50-1-0. What is 50? 50 is 50 minutes time chunk. Now, there's a famous concept in productivity called as the Pomodoro technique. This is slightly a different version of that because Pomodoro technique is focused for 25 minutes. In this technique, it's 50 minutes. Just take 2 chunks. So you set a timer for 50 minutes, and then you pre-decide before you hit the timer, you pre-decide what task, what specific task you're going to work in that 50 minutes, right? That is number 1, single tasking. Focus on one thing. Do not start the timer and then think, okay, I've just started the timer, so what should I be doing now? No, pre-decide what is the one thing I should be doing, and then hit the timer, 50 minutes, and then the magic happens in the 0 stage. And what 0 stands is, you guessed it, 0 distractions, 0 interruptions. Focusing only on the thing that you have decided that you would do. Now, the reason why 0 is important is because that is where all chaos happens. That is where all hell breaks loose. That is where you just mess up with the productivity and the focus. So it is okay to set the 50 minutes. It is okay to select one thing, but it is important, critical, absolutely must that you have to say no to distractions and interruptions. And the reason for that is this. Focus builds momentum. Distractions kill momentum. If you want to have momentum in your life towards your goals, towards your projects, towards setting your personal records, towards being world-class in your life, you got to take advantage of the focus, because focus builds momentum and distractions kill momentum. So that is the first thing that I'd like to talk about as far as this is concerned. Because here's the thing, if you want to break personal records, you have to break your patterns. You have to break your patterns of interruptions and distractions. And how do you do that? You just do one 50-minute session at a time. Because whenever you want to achieve a big goal, what do? You take the first step, the second step, the third step. So when it comes to having world-class focus, you don't look at the whole 1 year. You just look at, okay, what can I do for the next 50 minutes? Ensure you got world-class focus. Then the next 50 minutes. So you cultivate world-class focus by just focusing on one 50-minute session at one time. Now, here's a quick question for you. Just imagine really, if you just set a timer, let's say after this call is over, you have some project to work on, and you just set a timer of 50 minutes, and you just choose one thing to do, and you had absolutely 0 distractions, 0 interruptions. And if you just had one of those in the truest sense, 0 distractions, 0 interruptions, and one single task in 50 minutes, if you just had one session, do you think it's going to help you to be more productive in your life? And what if you had 3 of those in a day? What if you had 5 of those in a day? How does it impact your life? How does it impact your work? How does it impact your family? So just work on that, because this is a critical piece of the puzzle if you want to have a laser sharp focus. Because I know that many people who have achieved sorry, just take a sip of water. People who have achieved extraordinary levels of success, they have the single tasking, right? So that's the first thing. Now, here's the thing. Single tasking will gain you the momentum. But if you want to maintain the momentum, when you don't want to crash that momentum, the next thing is critical. Because I know some people who might be doing single tasking, but if you don't have the next thing, the momentum that you build for single tasking can crash. And what I'm talking about is the power of saying no. This is so important for having extraordinary focus. And to give an example here, let me just take you back from the ancient India of Arjuna to one of the most modern companies in the world, Apple, and let's talk about Steve Jobs. Now, when Steve Jobs was called back into Apple, and at that time, Apple was not really doing well. And then one of the first things that Steve Jobs' work was, he was just reviewing the product lines. Okay, how many products do we have? So they had, at that time, Apple had multiple different versions of the same product. Now, Steve Jobs said, we are just taking our focus and putting our focus on too many things. So what we need to do is to really focus on the things that really matter in our life, and in that case, not life, but in the business. And then he did something which is extraordinary and amazing. And he said that let's kill 70% of the product line. Let's focus only on the vital few that's going to get the most bang for our buck. Let's focus on those things because that's what we should be known for. That's what we want to give the experience for. Of course, there are many other reasons why Steve Jobs had to do the decision, but one of the things is the power of saying no. And this is what Steve Jobs said. Deciding what not to do is as important as deciding what to do. Deciding what not to do is as important as deciding what to do. And when they did that, when they focused on the things that really matter and confidently said no to many other things that are not helping them in their business bottom line, what happened is Apple went from a loss, minus of about $1 billion within just 1 year, making a profit of $300 million. And now, Apple is worth more than $1 trillion. So the lesson that we can learn from Steve Jobs and from this whole experience is you got to say no. Saying yes to, you need to have a to-do list, but also you need to have a what not to do list if you want to have extraordinary focus. Now, here's a simple idea that you can really work on. And here's how it actually comes down. First of all, take some time and look at what are your 3 big goals you want to achieve in your life. What are your 3 big goals? If you really achieve these 3 goals in this year, that year is going to be super productive. You'll be happy, your boss will be happy, your family will be happy, your kids will be happy, everyone will be happy, and you'll feel fulfilled. What are the 3 things that must happen in this year? Write them down. So probably you already have what these things are, but sometimes many people don't have it. They have a fuzzy idea of, okay, I want to get this thing. Be specific, be clear, be so specific as to what exactly you want to achieve so that you have a fabulous year this year. And then the next thing is this. What you need to do is when you write down your to-do list for the day. So every day you have a to-do list. So what are the things that I need to do? And here's my question for you. At the end of writing your to-do list, the question that you need to ask yourself is, are there some tasks on this list that directly help me to move forward towards at least one or more of the goal that I have for the big picture goal, which is the big goals that I have? Because the problem is, if you have a to-do list and your to-do list is only about what you need to do today, I know that you're busy, I know that you have to do a lot of things, but you still got to squeeze time for the things that are important for you in your big picture. You need to have those things. Otherwise, what happens is, if you just only have the urgent things, what happens? It becomes so difficult to say no to other things, right? So if you have, let's say, for example, you have your to-do list and you look at the to-do list and say, okay, you know what? These 3 things are very important for me, for my big goals for this year. And guess what? When something else comes into your plate on that day, it's very easy to say no because you know exactly what you want to work on for your long term. The classic, the Eisenhower matrix. We should be working on things that are not important and urgent, but we should be working on things that are not urgent but important. The goal is not urgent right now because you can just chill out for one day. You'll still achieve your goal, but it is important to work on a daily basis. Now, the reason why this is important is because the more times you say no, the better you will have the focus for. So here's a quick question for you. How many times someone asks something to you and you really, from your heart, from your mind, everything, you shouldn't be doing that, and then you just said yes to that, and what kind of feeling you had? Did you not feel bad the whole time of thinking about that experience, and then you tell yourself that, next time I'll say no to this person, next time I'll say no to such tasks, but then we kept on doing these things because People will like you if you say yes. They'll like you. You want to be a people pleaser? Definitely go ahead and say yes. People will like you if you say yes. You will like yourself if you say no. And that's what we want. If you want to keep momentum towards our goals, you got to be liking yourself. And this is very, very important stuff, right? And you need to be getting into the habit of saying no to things, to projects, and to activities and tasks that do not add value to your big picture. Now, of course, you need to have entertainment in your life. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is you need to get into the habit of saying no because of what you just saw here. Now, if you get into the habit of saying no, what will happen? You'll have less guilt. You will have less stress. And if you know what are the few things that you need to focus on, it's a lot easier to focus on the vital few than to focus on 20 things that are not contributing directly towards your goals, directly towards your dreams, directly towards your aspirations. So if you want to have super levels of focus, you got to say no to it. Now, here's one thing. Think about someone in the field of sports, in the field of business, in the field of athletics, in the field of arts, anyone for that matter, anyone for that matter. Just think about these things. Do you think these people had the ability to say no? Well, I guess yes. Read their stories, read their biographies. You know that these people had the ability to say no. They were so immersed and obsessed and focused on the things that they should be working, and they said no, 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 no to everything else. That's the reason why we think about these people. That's the reason why we read stories about these people. That is the reason why we feel inspiration about these people, because they had said no to things that don't add value. Now, my question for you for today is, right now, you already have a to-do list. You already have the list of things that you need to do today. Now, my question for you is there at least a couple of those things on that to-do list for today that are directly contributing to achieving your big goals in your life? If you don't have that, you still have time. It's only 2 o'clock. 2:30 in the afternoon in Singapore and in Asia, some of the regions. But wherever you are, you still have time to include a couple of tasks that will move directly towards your goal, and go ahead and include those things, because that is how you will have laser sharp focus towards your goal. So here's the thing, what just happened. But single tasking will get you into the momentum, and saying no will help you to focus on the vital few things that you need to be focusing on. Because if you're focusing on too many things, you don't have the time, you don't have the energy. And that brings us to the next thing. And the next thing is, you also need to have the mental fuel. Because first of all, if you don't have the mental fuel, it's easy to say yes. If you don't have the mental fuel, it's easy to go to multitasking. Now, what do I mean by mental fuel? But before I talk about mental fuel, let's just talk about fuel in general. Now, there are low-grade fuels and there are high-grade fuels, right? So if you have a car and you can have a high quality, premium quality oil, premium quality fuel, and the advantage of that is, it's smooth, it gets to destination faster, there's more, your car will long last, and everything will work perfectly, and it's all good. Now, my question is, when it comes to your body, when it comes to your brain, do you have high quality mental fuel? And if you don't have that, what happens is, all the time you'll be just doing on fighting fires all the time and not focusing on the big picture strategy, and we don't have focus. Forget about extraordinary focus we have, don't even have normal focus also. So what I mean by mental fuel, so how do you have the mental stamina, and how do you have the energy to move through different facets of our life? Because we are very busy people, we have multiple different projects, and we've got families to support and everything. So how do you have the mental fuel, and how do you take care of the mental fuel? I mean, there are a lot of things that you could do, but let me just tell you the 3 most important ones that you should be focusing on, and that instantly will help you to have better, high quality mental fuel. So what I'm talking about is this: world-class results require high-grade mental fuel. And just keep that in mind. You need to have a high-grade mental fuel if you want to have world-class results. And how do you get that? Oh, just a bit of disclaimer here. What I'm going to show you next, some of you might already know that, and some of you might know that, but you haven't done it, and some of you might not realize the importance of this. But trust me, I have been doing this for 20 years. I broke a Guinness record. I went from 0 to improve my mental performance, because I believe and I use every day these 3 things that actually help me to have much better high-grade mental fuel. So the 3 things are: number 1, gratitude; number 2, reflect; number 3, meditate. You want a world-class focus? You want extraordinary focus? You want to break your personal records? You want to maintain momentum your goal? Go for these 3 things. Number 1 is gratitude. Now again, I'm not going to give you a lecture on gratitude. All I will say is, if you want to have focus, we should have less stress in our life. And the first thing that we have for that is you should be focusing more on what we have and not focusing on what we don't have. Of course, we need to have goals in our life. We need to aspire to that. But if you're focusing on what we don't have, then that is what you'll be focusing on more of. So we focus on what we have and be grateful of what we have. And many people, you might have seen about gratitude journals, people writing every day what they're grateful for. Now I tried doing that, but I don't know about you, but after some time what happens is, you end up writing the same things again and again. I love my family, I'm grateful for my family, I'm grateful for having a good body, I'm grateful for, okay, of course, you got to be grateful. I'm not saying don't be grateful, but then it kind of gets repetitive. So what I do for gratitude is, at the end of the day, I always write down 1 or 2 things as to, okay, what good has happened to me today? What good has happened to me today? Now, yeah, we are going through a pandemic, and a lot of bad things happen. Yeah, but a lot of good things happen too. So we need to focus on that. And that is what gratitude is all about. So what are the 1 or 2 good things? If you look for it, you'll have good things. Now, am I saying that ignore the bad things happening? No, I'm not saying. But I'm saying that don't ignore the good things too. Because if you want to have high-class focus, you need to have the mental peace, the clarity and the strength to do that. And if you're always stressed out, read the news, the negative stuff, and what happens is, even the little bit of focus you can muster up, it's just easy to dissipate because you don't have that stuff here. So that's number 1, which is gratitude. Number 2, very, very underrated. Many people don't do this, and I can tell you this has been my secret source of mental fuel for many, many years, and that is reflect. And I do 10 minutes every day. You can do 1 minute, you can do 30 seconds, but definitely do a reflect. Now, what I mean by reflect is this. At the end of the day, I would spend just 10 minutes and then just think through, how has the day been? Okay, what are some good things that have happened? And what are some not so good things that have happened? And how can I improve them? So basically, it's about to reflect. The problem is, in the way in the current world we're living in, we are in the consumption mode. Consume. I call it the input mode. I have something that's called as the input and the output. We all have input all the time. Read a book, go to a webinar, watch a video, do the thing, so it's all input, consumption. But the problem is, if you want to tap your inner wisdom, we all have the inner wisdom. We all have our guiding compass. We know, but you need to activate that so that that'll actually help us. Hey, am I going in the right direction or not? But the problem is, we're not pausing. We are running all the time. You got to pause 10 minutes. Now, 10 minutes initially will look like ages because we can't even stay for 30 seconds without consumption. So it's a new skill. It's important. So the thing that you need to do is pause for 10 minutes and don't consume. No input, no MP3, no soft music at the background, no watching TV or Netflix. No, just sit there, think. How has the day been? What are some good things that have happened, and how can I use them more? What are things I messed up? We mess up a lot every day. So what are some bad things that have happened today, and how can I do? So when we have these things, sometimes that is all that is required. Now again, go back to anyone who's achieved extraordinary success. The number 1 reason they'll always tell you is feedback. Now for feedback, you got coaches, because you have mentors, you have bosses who are helpful. You can ask them for feedback, but certain things only you can ask your inner wisdom. The inner wisdom will guide you, and you need to tap into that. And how do you tap into it? Pause. Ask yourself, how can I change my life? Or what happened today? And I've got some crazy in a good way. I've got some crazy. I would never think. I would never think about these things normally, but in my reflect mode, my brain is at a different level. That's why I say it's a high-grade mental fuel. So you start thinking about the thing that you never thought of because we are pausing. We are not letting consumption. We're just letting it go, and then the fog clears away. You see more clarity. So that's the reflect. And the last thing is meditation. Now again, meditation, I know a couple of, sometimes I know people tell me that, oh Nishant, yeah, come on, it's kind of woo-woo stuff. I don't know meditation. I'm so busy. I've got 21 different projects. I don't have the time to sit and breathe. I have better things to do in my life. It's just like saying, I want to go faster. I don't have time to stop for the fuel. You know what I'm saying? You got to stop for the fuel. And when you're stopping for the fuel, better get the good quality fuel. right? So you can't be running. You're going to run out of gas. You're going to run out of fuel. So what I mean by meditation is exactly like that. So what I mean by meditation is very simple. Again, there are 21 different ways of doing meditation, or maybe 21,000 different ways. Now, do not go and research everything. I can tell you the world's easiest thing. That is what I do. Been doing for 25 years now, every day without missing. And this is what I do is I just close my eyes and I just focus on breathing. I focus on my breath going in, I focus on my breath going out. That's all I do. Now, here's the thing. Now, many people say, oh, come on, Nishant, I've tried this. Trust me, I've tried this. But the problem is, I just kept thinking about all these 21 different things in my life. So what should I do? That's the reason why I think meditation is not for me. And the problem is people do not enjoy or get the fruits of meditation because their objective of meditation and the perspective of meditation is wrong. In most cases, the objective of meditation is not to sit and focus on breathing and not think about anything else. That is wrong. That's not meditation. Meditation is sitting down, focusing on your breath, and when your thoughts goes away, the moment you realize the thoughts are going away, I mean your mind is going away with different thoughts, bring back those thoughts back into the breathing. Breathing, thoughts go away, bring it back. Thoughts go away. Thoughts don't go away. You keep thinking. The moment you think about something, bring it back to your focus of this thing. And this is where you're also helping you to have better focus. Now just think about your normal day-to-day life. Let's forget about meditation for a while. So let's say your normal working day, you just come to your office, and of course now we don't go to the office as much, we're working from home, but even then, same thing. You open up your laptop, you really want to focus on the project, then what happens? After a few minutes, remember the statistics I told you, every 3 minutes, every 11 minutes, we switch tasks, we get distractions, and when we get distractions, what do? We just go there, and like I said, 40% of the times, we don't even come back to the same task. But if you have trained meditation, what happens? Meditation is, you're focusing on one task, which is breathing. Thoughts come. The moment you realize you have the stamina, the mental stamina to get back to the task that you're working on. So that is how powerful meditation is. And the people who do meditation, it's much easier for them to focus. Now, that is what mental fuel is. So here's my question for you. At the end of the day, if you felt that, if you focused on the good things that have happened, gratitude, and if you focused on what are the things that I can improve on, and what are the things I can change in my life, reflect. And if I have trained my brain for mental clarity, meditation, do you think that would be a good day? And if you think that is a good day, and you need to manufacture these good days don't happen on their own. We can't just wish to have a good day. We need to manufacture these days. And the way to manufacture these days is by just spending a few minutes on these three things. And it's not really much actually. Gratitude, a couple of minutes, reflect, 10 minutes, meditation. The research says that as little as 8 minutes a day, set the timer for 8 minutes, just do meditation. And you might be spending only 20 minutes in the whole process, but the 20 minutes is going to give you huge leverage on the time and energy that you spend on. So there you have it. If you want to, this is a secret ingredient because many people take focus loosely. And here's the problem. I know many people, this is what they do, right? They have a busy day today. Oh, today is a very busy day. Especially working from home, you tell your spouse, you tell your kids, don't disturb. Today is very, very important. I've got 22 projects working. So just focus. And the moment you focus, you just can't focus. Because the problem is, it's just like, a person, I'll give an example of, catching a bus, right? So you're waiting for the bus, and then you're about to go to the bus stop. And the moment you're about to go, you can see at a distance that the bus is about to leave, and you have to run to catch the bus. Otherwise, you leave the bus. Now, because you have to catch the bus, you just start running. And what happens? Boom, your leg, ankle or something like that, and you just have a twist, and then you have a spasm. Oh my goodness, my leg. Okay, why does this happen? Because if you not exercise your body, when you suddenly want to catch the bus, you just can't because your body is not ready for it. But a person who is an athlete, a person who exercises regularly, if that person has to catch a bus, boom, he can run, catch the bus, everything is okay. No, don't even realize that, don't even have to catch a breath because that's a part of their life. Same thing. You want to focus, you got to train your brain to focus. So at the time of project, you just can't go to the project and say to yourself, let me focus. How do you get the focus? You got to train your focus. And the way to train your focus is 50-1-0 for single tasking. Write down your big goals. Your to-do list has at least a couple of items that actually help you to achieve your big goals. That will actually help you to focus. And then, are you practicing the gratitude? Are you practicing the reflect? Are you practicing the meditation? So that'll have the mental energy to focus. When you do all these things, and when you really want to focus, even for 1 hour, 2 hours, 10 hours on an important project, no problem. You train your brain. It's easy to work on your any big goal that you have. So that is how you break your personal records. That is how you maintain momentum in your life. That is how you become world class in what you do. And here's an exercise for you. Think of a person that you really admire for his or her success in the field of sports, politics, business, work, or arts, anything, and study their life. And you will see that they do single tasking. You will see they say no to things that don't add value to them. And you will see they might not specifically do reflect or sit down and reflect, but there's always a reflect mode that's happening. They're having the mental energy also. And that is how you get to extraordinary focus. So hope you got some good information. So this is a very short presentation, and I try to give you the best that I can. And back to Coach. If you have, I'm not able to see the chat right now, but if there's anything that's coming up right now, let me know. So far.
Thank you, Mr. Nishant. A big hand for Mr. Nishant.
Thank you.
Thank you. Your presentation is indeed an eye-opener for everyone, I'm sure, because you did a lot of myth busting here. A lot of us believe that multitasking is the way to go. You know how we love to finish a lot of things in a short period of time. So you did a myth bust on that. And also the power of saying no. We Filipinos, we love to please others.
Yes.
Most of us. And you opened our eyes into integrating that ability to the power of saying no. And the last one, of course, is the mental fuel, which is really, really amazing, because most of us forget about our health. We forget to do the meditation, relaxation of the mind, and even gratitude. So thank you very much, Mr. Nishant, for that. So at this point, please allow me to again ask for our participants' support. We've been doing this for 3 months already as a way of helping our frontliners. So our call of the moment is to give back and pay forward. So to our participants, please, while you gain access to all our live webinar series for a cause from April to May 2020, well, up to now, we're still doing it, you may donate an amount to help families in distress. So together, let us show our support to our fellow Filipinos who are in survival mode during this difficult time of the global health crisis. And Ariva is working with the Bayanihan Act 2020, as well as the proceeds will be going to the Bayan ng Mahayhay. So that's in Laguna, Mr. Nishant. And also, please allow me to greet our birthday celebrant for today, Mr. Joseph Asma. Happy birthday, Sir Joseph. And of course, we would like to say hello to our participants watching from out of town. They're watching from Rizal, Baguio, Batangas City, Cabanatuan City, Bulacan, Cebu City, Cavite, Pampanga, Davao, Dumaguete City, Benguet, Quezon Province, South Cotabato, and Laguna. And then in a few minutes, we will be answering your questions. So to our dear participants, if you have any questions, please don't be shy to type it in the chat box. If you're watching via Zoom, we can read your questions. So just type it and I will read it for Mr. Nishant. Thank you very much, Mr. Nishant. Let's start first with the present questions.
Okay, sure.
This question is from Miss Marinette Espartines.
Okay.
Her question is, does your focus diminish as you grow older?
Oh, okay.
Does your focus diminish as you grow older? I'm excited for your answer also.
Okay, so here's the thing. Now, focus is a part of the mental fitness. like memory, observation, visualization, imagination, focus, all these things are under the peak mental performance arena. Now, it is true that as you age, the ability of mental performance usually goes down. Now, I said usually, I never said it will. Now, the reason why it usually goes down is because people don't do anything to improve it. So if you don't do anything, of course, it's going to go down. Now, big question that I get asked is, Nishant, my learning ability when I was in school, I could remember everything, phone numbers, everything, my lessons, everything. But now at my work, I can't do that, because my question is, what kind of effort have you put in? So my point is, age doesn't really matter. If you practice what I just told you, single tasking, no, and mental fuel. I mean, I know people like, for example, I live in Singapore, and I see a lot of people who are 70. We call it the silver generation in Singapore. 70 years, 75 years, 80 years old. They have absolute mental clarity. They have focus. So it's not about the age; it's about the practice. So if you practice, you can have peak mental performance even at the age of 80. And if you don't practice, you can have low mental performance even at the age of 20.
That's right. I would have to agree. I would have to agree with that. So thank you for your question, Miss Marinette. Another question from Miss Rose White. And her question is, how do you remain focused while multitasking? So I think you answered this a while ago already.
Yes.
That it's not advisable for us to do multitasking, but rather single taskings. But you might want to give tips, Mr. Nishant.
Yes. So the question is, how do you focus while you're doing multitasking? Now, first of all, like I said, in my presentation, of course, this question came in before the presentation, so I can really appreciate that question.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully, after this presentation, you might know that that is not my suggestion. But there is a place for multitasking in our life, especially when you want to do mundane tasks that do not require thinking. Mechanical tasks. I mean, do not do anything that actually affects your safety. That don't do multitasking with that. Definitely operating a machinery and all that stuff. But there's certain things that you don't have to use your conscious. You don't have to use your brain. Not use your brain. You don't have to think a lot. So these are like mundane mechanical tasks. But those things, you can definitely do multitasking. But if the task is important for you, it makes a difference for you, it impacts the quality of your work and everything else that is important, then in those sessions, I would do single tasking. Now, for those of you who think that, I know I do multitasking and I'm quite good with it, so why should I do single tasking? So my challenge for you is, if you thought you're doing multitasking, you're still good, now try single tasking, you'll be 10 times as good as you are. So try it out for 10 days and then see what happens. So that is my answer for that.
Thank you, Mr. Nishant. So, Ms. Rose, I hope that you remember all the tips that Mr. Nishant gave throughout the presentation. And one last question for the recent questions. Ms. SHRI Avila asks, what are the roadblocks did you encounter and how were you able to overcome them? Again, what are the roadblocks that you've encountered and how were you able to overcome them?
So I'm assuming that she's asking about my personal life, what roadblocks I have encountered. The same thing like everyone else. I would say, okay, let me just make it kind of general here. I think the biggest roadblocks for many people is, number one, especially in today's world, is overwhelm. Too much information, too little action. In fact, I have, if you go to my, in the slides I gave you my website. Remember Nishant/Ariva, I have a program called the free program called the Output Principle. And I'll just give a little bit of information from that. Output Principle is the number one reason why people have a roadblock is because they focus too much on the input and they have little information on the output. So here's my suggestion for you. To stop the overwhelm in your life, don't be addicted to learning. Be addicted to taking action. So that is how you will end overwhelm in our life. So that is one of the biggest roadblocks that people have. Because in today's world, I want to be a better leader. I want to be a better employee. I want to learn these skills. I don't know how to be good on video. I want to know how to write better emails. So it's all good things. Skill building is very important. And then the problem is you keep searching information, research, getting information, reading podcasts, videos, and so much information. You feel so overwhelmed, and then you don't take any action, and your email writing still sucks. right? Your leadership is still the same. You're still the same employee. In spite of all the knowledge, you haven't put the action. So that is one of the biggest roadblocks that people have. So stop the learning mode. Learning is good. Take the information that you have, run with it, take action. That's number one. Number two, the biggest roadblock that I had to go through, this is one of my problems, which was the first one, overwhelm. The second big problem that I had in my life was lack of strategy. Now, this is really, I'm scared when I look back to certain portions of my life. How did I even live my life? Because I was just waking up every day and just do the things, fighting fires, working on important things, urgent things, and all that stuff. There was no strategy in my life for many years. And of course, in those times, my performance was down, my productivity was down, my income was down, everything was down. And the moment I said, okay, you know what? I need to have a strategy. We have strategy for playing a guitar. We have strategy for how to do a good Zoom call. We have strategy for, how to change channels. Why don't we have strategy for how to run your day? Because Jim Rohn has a beautiful saying, and he said, either you run the day or the day runs you. Either you run the day or the day runs you. Similarly, either you run your life or the life runs you, because that's the reason why these things are important. So, there are a lot of other roadblocks, but I think these are the top two roadblocks that I think I have encountered in my life: overwhelm and lack of strategy.
Thank you, Mr. Nishant. So, Ms. SHRI, I hope you got that. Too much learning is a no-no. So, what Mr. Nishant is saying here is, yes, you can learn, but take action right away. Is that correct, Absolutely. Mr. Nishant? And also have a strategy. We'll entertain more questions from the Zoom webinar chat. And this question is from Mr. Hiren Nabua.
Okay.
And his question is, what can one employee who wants to practice your methods do when his or her employers aren't wired or very accepting of the methods you are suggesting? Example, employers would expect their people to be doing switch tasking all the time. So what will you advise Mr. Nabua? Yes, he might be willing to do your tips and all that, but then the boss or the leader doesn't want it that way.
Okay, so this is first of all, thanks so much for asking. I'm sure the other people who might have a similar question, so thanks for voicing it out. I really appreciate that. And this is a big challenge. This is true, because if you're not the boss, then it's a big challenge. For example, you can say, hey, let me do single tasking, but if a boss is expecting you to do multitasking, switch tasking, so how do you come out of that? So there are a couple of ways, not easy ways, but there are definitely a couple of ways. The first way is, of course, have a conversation with your boss, because sometimes we think that, again, I don't know about your boss, so I can't say it's going to work with your boss, right? But here's the thing, sometimes we assume that if I suggest something, because my boss's way of doing things is like that, so he or she will not approve this new method. So my suggestion is, go and have an open communication, open conversation. Say, hey boss, this is what I've learned, and I think this makes sense to me. So what about giving me like a 1-week trial run and let me see if I can do this thing? If it doesn't work out, just of course, you're the boss. I'll go back to what your methods were, but maybe that's what really works for me. Now, again, I'm not saying it's easy to have such kind of conversations with your boss, but I think that is one way, because sometimes, and I've suffered a lot in my life just because I assume someone will say no, right? So again, one of the things my dad taught me very early in my life, I'm going to say the same thing, is Nishant, he told me this: Nishant, you have the right to ask anyone anything as long as you recognize their right of saying no. You can say, your boss say no, okay, then no. So then of course you can't do that. So in which case, if your boss says yes, congratulations, yay, go for it. But if your boss says no, then my suggestion is, let's say you have the whole day, 8 hours of work. So out of these 8 hours of work, or whatever, how many hours of work that you do, maybe have pockets of time. So let's say 50 minutes was too much for you, just do 25 minutes. So you can say, you know what, okay, this is what my boss is away, or my boss is giving me the deadline, now he doesn't care how I'm doing it. So you can incorporate this on your own, and you say, okay, this 25 minutes is sacred, holy 25 minutes for my work, and let me see if I can do 25-1-0 instead of 50-1-0, 25 minutes, one single task, and 0 distractions. You can try doing that. Now, the saying no part, that's a tricky thing too, to say no to your boss, because you're supposed to say yes to the boss, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you say no to the boss? So again, like the same thing, have a conversation, and if your boss is saying something to do, and you can say, boss, I want to really help. I'm not, okay, by the way, first of all, I'm not an expert on communications. I'm not saying this thing is going to work with your boss. I'm an expert in this thing, but you need to have a communication conversation, an open heart-to-heart conversation with your boss and suggest these things. That is one thing you could do. But the third thing, having the mental fuel. That is what you require. If you have an uncooperating boss, you definitely need a lot more mental fuel. And gratitude, reflection, meditation, that one you can do whether your boss approves it or not, because that's on your personal time. So having those things, will actually help you. So yes, I do understand that this might not be the solution for everyone. But my question is this thing. One of the things I do in my life is sometimes we get so caught up on the circumstances, because the problem is if you have an uncooperative boss, that you can't change it. But my question in those circumstances is to ask yourself, what can I do now? So, okay, I said this to my boss said no, what can I do now? So when you say, boss, what can I do now? That is where the reflect comes in, because you need to ask, what can I do now? And then you'll get some ideas which probably you haven't thought about before. So that's that's what I would say, Nabua, for your question. So I hope that answers your question. So give it a try. I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Nishant. Mr. Nabua, good luck as you talk to your boss and influence your boss to look at the other side of things.
Oh yeah, there's one more idea.
Yeah. Okay, good. Go.
Ask your boss to come and do a speech in your company.
Yeah, that's right.
So then I'll do a presentation, and maybe that works, because I've done this. Because sometimes I've done this is what I do. I'm a professional speaker. I speak all over the world. I go to companies. Sometimes all the training that I do is only for the bosses, and they will say, "Oh yeah, this is good," and then that's another, of course. That's also is possible.
Correct. I agree, Mr. Nishant. And as long as you're speaking to your boss with tact and respect, I believe that your boss will be able to open with these kinds of ideas.
Hopefully,
Mr.
yes.
Nishant, thank you very much for your time today. I know you're a very, very busy guy, but still you accepted our invitation to discuss this very wonderful topic. At this point, let me call on Miss Irish Malonda, President of Ariva. Yes, another point. Yes, Mr. Nishant, let's go. Can you turn on you're on mute, Mr. Nishant?
Okay, because the last thing was, I had a thing, first of all, thanks so much. I take the opportunity to thank Ariva and Irish and everyone, JM, for, making this thing possible, and Anne behind the scenes, and Coach Suzette on screen, and Jeff and everyone.
Yes.
So really, it's so great to be on this platform and to given this opportunity. That's number one. Number two, I hope the ideas that I gave you were useful for you. And also, I have some more resources where you can actually get my more videos and more information called the Output Principle. So I just dropped a link in the chat where so it's only for Ariva, for participants here. Just go there, enter your name and email address, and I'll be more than happy to give you more resources. So really, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. And anyone has any questions, you can always send me later on. I think you can send them and Ariva will send it back to me, or you can directly contact me. I'm here to help you as far as focus is concerned. I definitely can give you some ideas. So thanks so much.
All right, great. Mr. Nishant, one message that you would like all our participants to take away after this webinar of yours? Any message or key takeaway that you want them to bring with them?
Okay, so out of all the things, the key message I'd like to talk about is simple. If you really have to do only one thing, my suggestion is block out the next 1 hour and write down what I will not do from now onwards. Not what I will do, what I will not do. My bad habits, my bad thoughts, the projects that are not serving me, the company or the people that are not helping me, the things where I'm getting the negative vibes. What can I cut in my life? And when you have a list of those things and put it on the wall, so keep reminding all the time, because when you say no to these things, you're saying yes to your goals. You're saying yes to your focus. You're saying yes to your productivity. You're saying yes to your family. You're saying yes to your hobbies. So you have more free time to work on the things. So my suggestion is do what Steve Jobs did. Kill 70% of the things that are not helping you in your life, and keep the 20 or 30% that will actually move you forward. And if you just spend 1 hour in creating that list, yes, it takes 1 hour, but that 1 hour is so worth it. It's going to give you, it's like an insurance, it's like an investment. It give you a lot more time in this year and the years to come by. So that's my final message.
Thank you, Mr. Nishant, for letting us appreciate the art of pausing and the art of really doing meditation and reflecting and making a gratitude journal. That's my key takeaway for your
Yes.
from your webinar. Thank you very much, Miss
Thanks,
Irish.
Susan.
Yes, let's just call
Thank-
Miss Irish back in.
Okay, I'm
Hi.
back.
Okay, hello, Miss.
That
That was an
hello,
awesome
Mrs. Seth.
presentation.
Yes,
Hello.
indeed, I agree with our YouTube viewer, Miss Juliet Dumpayan. It is indeed a myth-busting learning session from
That's
Nishant.
right.
Thank you so much,
Correct.
Nishant, for this opportunity, for giving us tips on how to single task, the 51-0 rule, the mental fuel, gratitude, reflect, meditate, and the power of saying no. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
All right. You had a lot of key takeaways, Miss Irish.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes, I had. And of course, Coach Suzette, thank you for moderating our session. I'll be seeing you in a while for another session. Yes, in a few minutes with Miss Abigail Arenas. So, everyone, I'd like to acknowledge some of our win-win sponsors. We would like to thank the following win-win partners: our official media partner, Art Plus Magazine; digital media partners, Focus Media; Globaltronics; CD Advertising Ventures; Outcome; Elevate Media. Win-win partners, thank you as well to Brother, Faber-Castell, Gluta-C, Moringa O2, KFC, Mr. Donut, Tokyo, Lotus Biscoff, Boss Job, CERT Technology Inc., Finma Properties, Salary Jet, Frontier Software, Ilawi Korea, Kittleson and Carpo Consulting, Enchanted Kingdom, Disperse, Cosmotech Philippines Inc., Mindchom's virtual preschool program. To register, please call them at 0906-486-0710 or email them at disakanabe@mindchoms.org. And of course, thank you as well to Essential Safety Products PH for your personal protective equipment, for your health and safety compliance requirements. Please email them at essentialsafetyph@gmail.com. And if you want to place your ads here, advertise your company, your services, your logo, please email us at marketing@ariva.com.ph. Stay on top of our insights and updates. Stay connected with our social media sites. Please join us at Ariva Academy Facebook group. Like the Ariva Academy Facebook fan page. Follow the Ariva Academy LinkedIn page and visit us on our website. It's www.ariva.com.ph. And if you want to watch again the replay of our e-learning session with Nishant and the previous e-learning sessions that we had, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's Ariva Academy and Ariva Talks. And don't forget to click the notification bell. Okay? And for our upcoming online learning sessions, we would like to invite you the SHRI Virtual Summit PH 2020. This is a live webinar series for a cause, and we have invited international and local subject matter experts to share with us their wisdom in the HR field. And don't forget to register. This is after this session, on-screen impression management. We will be having again, of course, Ms. Abigail Arenas de Leon to talk about this session. Unlock your creative potential, get unstuck, and stay productive in turbulent times. This will be tomorrow, 3 to 4:30 p.m. And we have invited another global speaker from Singapore, as Rick Idrus. Managing virtual workers today, live webinar series for a cause. And we will be having Mr. Bob Nelson from United States. This will be on Wednesday, June 24, 2 to 3 in the afternoon. Our second online selling from home, how to use FB, IG, and LinkedIn for your business. We would like to invite you. This is the second batch, Wednesday, June 24, 4 to 6 in the afternoon. And of course, this will be discussed by Mr. Jonathan Yabut, the Asia's Millennial Guru. Another masterclass, e-learning masterclass, effective human resource planning techniques and strategies in response to COVID-19. This will be on Friday and Saturday, Don't forget, June 26 to 27, 3 to 5:30 in the afternoon, and we will be having Mr. Ronaldo Turla to talk about this session. Another live webinar series for a cause. We have invited Professor John Raymond Almeida to talk about pandemic and HR in 2020. I'm calling out to the HR professionals out there. How strategic should HR become during the COVID-19 crisis? Don't forget to register June 29. And of course, we have a masterclass series by none other than Mr. Howell Mabalot. Okay, this will be on June 30, how to communicate with diplomacy, tact, credibility in times of chaos, leadership skills for supervisors in turbulent times, July 16, and how to take on greater responsibility, step up skills for non-managers, July 29. And this will be talked about by Mr. Howell Mabalot. Okay, and of course, what to do if you're laid off during COVID-19. We will be having Mr. Jonathan Yabut on Wednesday, July 1, 4 to 5:30 p.m. And this is only $599 per participant. Another masterclass from Mr. Professor Ricky De Vera, effective collections of receivables in the post-pandemic. This will be on Thursday, July 2. Don't forget, part 1, 10 to 12:30, and part 2 will be 3 to 5:30. Don't forget to join us. Another masterclass, Managing Tax Assessment, Friday. This will be on July 3 to 5:30 in the afternoon, and we have invited Attorney Nelson Gargoles to discuss this session. And if you want to customize an in-house e-learning session for your company, for your team, please do email me at irish.arivaacademy@gmail.com, or you can call me at 0916-695-4418. And that's it. Thank you, guys. Please do join us in a while on Screen Impression Management. Okay, and we have invited Ms. Abigail Arenas de Leon. Again, this is Irish Malonda Samson in Ariva. It's all about being better, and see you. Bye-bye.